Next topic is the 19th century, that is from 1815 till 1914. The world changed profoundly, that is extremely, in the 19th century. Economic, political, social, cultural and technological factors interacted in complex way to transform societies and reshape external relations. So in the 19th century the world was changing in a very drastically way, that is in an extremely way. So not only the society was changing, but it was changing on the economic aspect, political, social, cultural and technological factors. Why? Because we are the people in the 19th century were moving towards the modernization. So it was transforming the society as well as the external relationship between the different countries. Economists identify three types of movement or flows within international economic exchange. So the economists, they have identified that there are three types of movement or flows within the international economic exchange. That means within the interaction between the different countries. The first is the flow of trade, which in the 19th century referred largely to trade in goods, example cloth and wheat. So the first interaction was the business which was taking place in the 19th century from one country to the another, or between the many countries, basically doing the business in goods related to clothes and wheat. The second in the flow of labor is the flow of labor, the migration of people in search of employment. So the second flow was the movement of people or the flow of the labor. They were moving from one country to the another so that they can get in job. The third is the movement of capital for short term or long term investment over long distance. So the third movement was the use of money for either in the short term or in the long term investment so that they can earn as much of profit. So these are the three important types of movement which were moving or which were taking place in the 19th century. All three flows were closely interwoven, that is blend closely, and affected people's life more deeply now than ever before. So all these flows plays an important role and they were interlinked with each other, and it also affected the people's life very deeply. The interconnection could sometimes be broken. For example, labor migration was often more restricted than goods or capital flows. So the interaction could be sometimes they can be broken. How? For example, a huge amount of people, they were moving from one country to the another in the search of job. So due to the huge amount of people, they were moving from one country to the another, there was a restriction because there was a certain limitation of the labors which can be brought in a country. So there was a restriction on the labor migration as compared to the goods and capital flow. Yet it helps us understand the 19th century world economy better if we look at the three flows together. So how we come to know that what was the economic development in the 19th century? It is only because of these three flows or these three movements. Next is a world economy take shape. So now we will discuss how the economy or how the country was taking shape. A good place to start in the changing pattern of food production and consumption in industrial Europe. So it was a good start to change the pattern of food production and consumption level, especially in the Europe. Traditionally, countries liked to be self-sufficient in food. So earlier in the 19th century, the countries liked to produce as number of food so that they can satisfy the food need in their country. But in the 19th century, Britain, self-sufficiency in food meant lower living standard and social conflict. Why was this so? So every country, they were trying to produce as number of food so that they can satisfy the hunger of food in their country. But in the 19th century, Britain was not able to, you can say, though they were producing the self-sufficiency in food, but their living standard was very low, and even there was a conflict between the different communities in the society. So what was the reason? Let us find out. Population growth from the late 18th century had increased the demand for food grains in Britain. So one of the main cause why there was a lower standard living and social conflict in the Britain was the sudden growth of population in the 18th century in the Britain. So hence, if the population in a country increases, then there is a demand of food, then the demand for food grain also increases. So there was a shortage of food grains in the Britain. As urban centers expanded and industry grew, the demand for agricultural product went up, pushing up food grains prices. So as in the urban, that is in the cities, okay, or you can say the urban cities were expanding, that means moving in a large territory, and the industries was also growing. So hence the demand for agriculture products, that is the food grains, also increases, and hence the price of the food grains increases. This is the main reason why the poor section of the society in the Britain were not able to purchase the food grain, because the price of the food grains was increasing. Under pressure from landed groups, the government also restricted the import of corn. So as there was a shortage of food grains in the Britain, the government of Britain, what did they did that they restricted to import the corn from the other country. The laws allowing the government to do this were commonly known as the corn laws. So these, the procedure by which the government of the Britain restricted to import the corn from the other countries, this procedure or this law is commonly known as corn laws. Remember it. Unhappy with high food price, industrialists and urban dwellers forced the abolition of corn laws. So unhappy with the sudden rise in the price of the food, that is the corn, and the industrialists and urban dwellers, that means the persons who were working in the industries and the urban dwellers, they forced or they rather revolted against the corn laws, because the because according to corn laws they were not able to import the corn from the other country. So hence there was a shortage of corn in a country. So that's why the poor section of the society, they revolted against the corn law. Corn laws, you can write in the simple definition also. Landowners dominated parliament sought to protect their profit by imposing a duty on imported corn. So according to the corn laws, it was a procedure through which they restricted to import the corn from the other country. Why? Because if they wanted to import the corn from the other country, they will charge the extra profit, and that profit will be goes under the you can say government. So that's why the corn laws was implemented, because if any person who wants to import the corn from the other countries, he or she have to pay a huge amount of tax to the Britain government. So that's why the poor section of the society, they were facing a lot of problem. After the corn laws were scrapped, food could be imported into Britain more cheaply than it could be produced within the country. So once the corn laws was scrapped, food can be imported into Britain more cheaply, okay, than the product produced within the country. British agriculture was unable to compete with imports. So the British agriculture, they were not able to compete with the imports, because they were importing more and exporting less. Vast areas of land were now left uncultivated, and thousands of men and women were thrown out of the work. So as there was no profit in the market, so vast areas of the land were left uncultivated, and thousands of men and women were thrown out of the work. They flocked, that is come together in large numbers to the cities or migrated overseas. So as there was no work in the Britain, and many men and women, they come together, that is flock together to the cities, or they flock together to the cities, that is they move together to the cities, or they migrated to different countries in order to search for the work.